we'll ask everybody to come down front.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
And turn it on, and we'll be ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you going to school? Which one?
Oh, yeah. I believe I got enough phone calls already.
That's out. That's out.
How you doing, sir?
You ready to go?
That didn't happen.
What Miss Ruth, what my wife's favorite?
Please, there's no reason why I can't do it.
I'm going to appreciate it. I'll put a party this weekend. Down my police car and have cheese cheese. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, go ahead and use this one. Use this one. Yes, sir. It's Christmas. We don't forget.
This regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for December 16th, 2014 will come to order. I'll ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, the first item on our agenda is to present service awards to a number of fine city employees from various departments who have reached a certain milestone in their employment with the city, 5 years, 10 years, 15, whatever. And we're honoring them tonight with the presentation. So I'm going to ask, I think we've been customarily asking the aldermen if they'll come down front or kind of stand in this direction, and then I'll present the awards and call them as they're due. All right, this first award, this first recognition, is going to a person who's not really an employee, but a kind of an officer of the city, because he's our distinguished city attorney, about to become the attorney emeritus. Jim Balter, come in. Let me read it up to you and then I'll hand it to you. In grateful appreciation for your over 20 years of faithful and dedicated service to the citizens of Springfield as city attorney, and in recognition of your demonstrated professionalism, we honor you, Jim, and tell you how much we're going to be missing you. Now, he has a habit of doing, y'all didn't know, you don't know everything about this fellow. We're not going to tell everything about him today. But he is in charge of a prayer meeting that's held at Torino occasionally on one night each week. I'm not sure it's exactly in the bar area. So if you're ever out there, you may want to speak to him and tell him how much you appreciate his service. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. next recognition is to Bryant Cobb for 5 years of service. I could have added with the Springfield Police that we're proud of you and thank you for your service.
Yes, sir, thank you.
This next award goes to Brett Lambert, 5 years of service, City of Springfield, Springfield Fire Department. Now it says Brett, B-R-E-T-T, but nobody in the fire, if you went to the fire department and asked, where's Brett Lambert? Well, we got anybody with that name. It's Bert's what they all call him. So I don't know whether it's spelled wrong or they can't pronounce his name. But he's been with us 5 years and we appreciate it. The next award is again a five-year service award, and this goes to Pamela Northing. Pamela?
She's in the recreation department. She's working tonight, but Tony Phelps said he would take the award.
Well, Tony Phelps, you don't get the award, but you may convey it. Will you do that? Thank you. This 5-year award goes to Derek Osmond of the Springfield Fire Department. Now we're moving to the 10-year awards. Either they're a little older than some of these that you've seen, or else they got started early or something. But Jason Duffer, if you'll come forward, we're going to award you a 10-year certificate at the Parks and Recreation.
Thank you.
And another 10-year award, this one to Brian Tanner, Springfield Fire Department. Congratulations, Brian. Appreciate your service. And now a 15-year service award to James Bush, Electric Department. James? Okay. All right, I'm going to another 15-year award, and this one to Judy Hart. Judy? And now another 15-year service award to Charles Haynes. Charles.
I think he was sick.
Charles is with the police department. Again, a 15-year award, and this one's to Timothy Hutton. Timothy?
I just want, for the record, Robert Gardner told me these people would be here for the
So
election.
he's in trouble.
And we're wrong.
All right. Now, the another 15-year service award, and this one is to Officer James Patty, Springfield Police. Now, another 15-year service award to James Troy Smith. How many electric employees have we had here? 4?
You know, they could be on the call.
Maybe they are. And now we're moving into a smaller plaque with a bigger number, and this is 20 years of service, and the first one of these goes to Michael Baldwin. Shake hands with all that group. This gentleman was with Vehicle Maintenance and the Public Works Department. And now 20-year service award to Todd Eagleside. Todd? And this gentleman is with the Engineering Department. Thank you very much for your service, Todd. And now a 20-year service award, and this one to Laurie Pack, Springfield Police. If you call the police department and ask for the chief's office and you don't find anybody in any of those offices in there, this is the one you go to. She can find it for you. Thank you so much. Another 20-year award, and this to Eddie Stewart. Congratulations. And now we move into the 25-year category, and there are little envelopes attached to these plaques. I think there's some goodies in here. Santa Claus has been to see these people. They stayed around long enough to meet Santa Claus, is what this man did. 25 years of service to Terry Cadwell. Terry is one of our people with the water and wastewater department, so congratulations to you. The next 25-year award, this one to Ann Ellis. Congratulations. This lady is in the finance department here. Tries to keep some of these department heads and all straight. Another 25-year service award, and this to Don Bruce Graham. Congratulations. And again, Springfield Water and Wastewater. Another 25-year service award to Deborah Jones.
Springfield Electric, I guess she's
25-year award. This one goes to Malcolm Wilkerson. Now, 5 years ago, we hired you, but you got 25 years of service here now. He's with our Parks and Recreation Department. Congratulations. And 25 years of service now to Carrie Woodard. Now this gentleman tries to keep me straight. And he says it's impossible. You see him going around one of these white pickups, he looks at meters, he turns power on and off and all that kind of stuff. You name it, he's with our utility services department. Terry Wood, 25 years. And now to 30 years of service. The first one goes to Terry Scott Norris. Detective Doris with the Springfield Police Department. Congratulations. And now to a 35-year service award, and this one is to Tiny Mendenhall. She is the lady you talk to when you call the center so much of the time. Been with us 35 years. And now we move to the 40-year category. The first one of these is to Assistant Police Chief Danny Johnson. All right, and now 40-year service award to Frank B., better known as Brad B. Congratulations. I appreciate you, sir. You kept your hair a whole lot better than I did. We're still hard enough to have it. Brad is with the Springfield Gas System, and the next award recipient is as well Jimmy Limley, 40 years of service. Now I want all of these recipients to come forward and get in a semicircle so the Robertson County Times should have you on the front page maybe next week, or somewhere in the paper. So will all the recipients come and stand, and I'll ask the aldermen back to their posts where they could be sitting. Sherry will direct you here. Sherry, get in. Smile.
Tiny's trying to get the bag.
I went through this about an hour ago, so scratch out something.
No,
We're hiding.
you know you got 40 years.
7
Says
and a
You
half.
know you got at least 40 years.
507.
Still a babe, still a young babe. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't.
I didn't make much of that.
Just,
But you love what you do.
I do love it.
That makes it.
I love it.
I'll smile now.
Send my wife out.
Now let's give an award, give our award to the
Those of you who are standing, if you'd like to take some of the vacant seats. All right, as we resume our agenda, I want to introduce to our audience our two new aldermen who were duly elected in November. And this is their first regular meeting with the board. And I'm going to start over to my right, and we have Mr. Bobby Trotter. We welcome him. He is replacing our former senior alderman, Mr. Willie Mason, who served continually from the time this government was reorganized in 1989 to the present. And Bobby, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Bobby is a retired captain with the State Highway Patrol and been a resident for Springfield for a long time, and we welcome him to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And to my left is Mr. Jeff Gragg, G-R-A-G-G. Not a whole lot of Graggs around. We think of Greggs more. But we welcome you to our, as a member of the board. My wife reminded me that she taught him a few years ago, and he was a pretty good boy, she said. So we hope you live up to that and believe you will. So glad to have you. We also welcome a new city attorney, Christy Bartee. You know her as Christy McKinney, Bartee. She has practiced law in Springfield for 13 years now, and she has been with the law firm of Batson and Nolan, and she will be representing us in the same capacity that Mr. Balthrop did. And Christy, we welcome you as well. All right, item 1.3 is approval of the minutes from the meetings of October 21st and November the 18th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make some amendments to the minutes.
All right, what do you have, Mr. Sneed?
On 3.6, I think it's noteworthy that,
Which month are you referring to?
I'm sorry, October 21st.
Okay, the October 21st meeting.
October 21st, 3.6. Oftentimes, if there's any dissension, that the comments or the reason why in the minutes are not placed in there. I think it's noteworthy this time that we should add that Chief Thompson supported the motion to add the GPS and found it to be useful in his previous employment.
You want that added to that?
Yes, it speaks to his, it has other comments that he made in here, but not that.
All right. Is there any objection to this being added? Hearing none, so ordered. Is there something else now?
Yes, 3.17. The last
You still on the same month?
That is right.
Go ahead.
3.7, where it says each of the board members, it was 5 of 7.
All right. 3.17 reads as follows. The board presented the city manager with his performance evaluation. Mr. Nutting received a total average score of 3.9 based on a 5-point scale, with a score of 5 is excellent, 4 above average, and 3 is average. The city manager's last performance evaluation was February 2010. Now, what did you want to add?
The last paragraph, it says each of the board members commented on the results of the performance evaluation. Only 5 of 7 did.
Well, all right. 5 of 7 people.
5 of the 7
Okay.
that were present. I didn't comment to his evaluation. Mr. Head did not either.
Any objection to that? All right, now let's move to the November 18th one.
And we're good on that one.
Okay, and I'm going to have them approved after we get through with this one. What was your correction on that one?
None.
None. All right. If you would favor the approval of the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Did we get, excuse
No,
me,
sir.
my mistake, we didn't get a second.
No, sir.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Now, if you favor the approval of the
I didn't hear
minutes,
He said it. He said it.
okay. If you favor the approvals, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Now we move to the first item under the legislative agenda, and that's 2.1. This particular legislation would take is a third reading. It covers ordinance 14-23 and rezones approximately 0.12 of an acre located at 413 North Locust on the west side here of City Hall. Changes that from medium-density single residential family district to CC Core Commercial District. Is there a motion this be considered?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll, Ms. Connie.
Head,
Yes.
Carneal,
Aye.
Snyder. Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Has 7-0.
All right. Now, 2.2 is a first reading covering ordinance 14-24. It's in the section there that in the code is fire protection and fireworks. Because this is a first reading, it is required that this proposed change be read in its entirety, and our city clerk, Connie Watson, will do so now.
Ordinance 14-24, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 11-01 in its entirety and amending Title 7 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Fire Protection and Fireworks by rescinding Chapter 7 entitled Automatic Sprinkler and Standpipe Systems in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 7 entitled Automatic Sprinkler and Standpipe Systems to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached to include fire sprinkler requirements based on adopted building and fire codes and additional requirements for certain areas and uses within the city. Whereas it has been determined that the public health and safety would be improved by requiring the installation of sprinkler or standpipe systems in buildings and structures as defined by the city's adopted building and fire codes, and to provide additional requirements to protect the high-density downtown area of the city and any residential use or property zone for residential use within close proximity to certain classified structures, and to protect residents of multiple attached residential units. And whereas the International Code Council, ICC, has developed and published national building and fire codes that include fire protection requirements that have been adopted by the City of Springfield. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 11-01 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 7 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Fire Protection and Fireworks is hereby amended by amending Chapter 7 entitled Automatic Sprinkler and Standpipe Systems to it is set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right, you've heard the reading of this ordinance. Is there a motion this be taken under consideration?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance that we wanted to take a closer look at. Got some second thoughts on this. This was passed back in 2011, and Adam's come back. Since Adam's been hired, he's, of course, our planning director, but Adam's got a strong codes background, and the fire department has looked at this as well. And Adam is here to, Adam, if I get any of this wrong, just please correct me. But what we're going to do with this ordinance is we're going to keep certain sprinkler requirements only under a couple of conditions, and that is if they're within the fire district, which is the older commercial part of town where all the buildings are close together, or we're in 30 feet of a residential area. Other than those limitations, we go by the code, which will, for example, in the warehousing area, it'll no longer be a 5,000-foot restriction. Outside of those particular areas, you'll go with whatever the code allows, which is around 12,000.
They go from
before it has to
12
be
up,
sprinklered,
yeah.
something like that. And also, Adam, we've introduced a 2-hour firewall that can modify the size of a building as it impacts sprinkler requirements.
It's generally way fire codes and building codes are set up, and the reason we allow that is because the building code allows that. If you have a certain square footage or a fire area you can do a firewall to separate those areas. So like if our ordinance we have, it would apply, say in the fire limits area, an 8,000 square foot building that exceeded 5,000, they could separate that building in half with with a firewall and would not have to sprinkle that. That's under the current provision, maintain that,
So the intention of this is to relax this as appropriate in order to make the construction of new buildings a little bit less expensive. Is that right?
It would be more consistent with what's built everywhere with the code.
Okay. All right. All right, do you have questions of Adam McCormick, our codes and planning director?
So with this, when will sprinklers be required in residential and commercial buildings?
Okay, well, residential, basically, per state law, the city, when they adopted the codes here recently, it will not apply to 1 and 2 family. Anything above that, duplex or triplexes up, have to be sprinkled. Townhomes, all be fire sprinkled. As far as commercial and industrial building, it really depends. If they're outside of the fire limits area, which I put a map on your all's table tonight, and they're outside of a 30-foot zone, basically be determined by code. Different buildings require different fire sprinklers. Like churches require fire sprinklers when you go over 12,000 square feet. When you're outside this district, warehouses are 12,000 plus. It really depends on what it is. Now, if you're in that fire district area, the ordinance there, anything over 5,000 square feet, you still have to do the fire sprinklers or separate the building with a firewall. And if you're within 30 feet of a residential area, you would fall under this ordinance. And that's anything commercial, industrial. If you're within 30 foot of a residential zoning area or residential district, you'd have to either fire sprinkler if you exceed the 5,000 square feet or separate with a firewall.
And Adam, we did take out the very large houses, 5,000 or more. They no longer have to be sprinkled.
That's right, yes. Yeah, there was provision, anything over 5,000, a single-family house, anything over 3,000 that was more than 300 feet off the road had to be fire sprinkled.
Just an interesting thing to bring up, the international codes actually require, and Tennessee opted out of it, actually requires all residential
Homes, everything.
homes to
yes,
be
correct.
sprinkled, which that's a big change. But Tennessee opted out of that for 1 and 2 family dwellings.
All right, so that again is an effort to try to enable more building to be done and where we can be more competitive as we compete for building projects. Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second that this be approved. Is there any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Craig.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
All right, we move now to 2.3. This is in regard to ordinance 14-25. It also is a first reading and requires being read. Ms. Connie?
Ordinance 14-25, an ordinance amending the City of Springfield zoning ordinance regulating development within the corporate limits of Springfield, Tennessee, in order to minimize danger to life and property due to flooding by maintenance eligibility for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program by including reference to flood insurance rate maps and incorporating local floodplain construction requirements. Whereas the legislature of the state of Tennessee has in sections 13-7-201 through 13-7-210 Tennessee Code annotated, delegated the responsibility to local governmental units to adopt regulations designed to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of its citizenry, and whereas the City of Springfield Planning Commission has reviewed this proposed ordinance amendment on December 4, 2014, and recommends its passage. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1. The City of Springfield zoning ordinance, Chapter 9, entitled Floodplain Districts, is hereby amended by amending Article 3, entitled General Provisions, by rescinding Section B, entitled Basis for Establishing the Areas of Special Flood Hazard in its entirety, and substituting a new Section B to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached, and by amending Article 5, entitled Provisions for Flood Hazard Reduction, by amending Section B, entitled Specific Standards, by adding a new subsection 6, entitled Building Site Pad, to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, Conflict with other ordinances. In case of conflict between this ordinance or any part thereof and the whole or part of any existing or future ordinance of Springfield, Tennessee, the most restrictive shall in all cases apply. Section 3, severability. If any section, clause, provision, or portion of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, such as holding, shall not affect any other section, clause, provision, or portion of this ordinance, which is not of itself invalid or unconstitutional. Section 4, effective date. This ordinance shall become effective immediately after its passage in accordance with Charter of the City of Springfield, Tennessee, the public welfare demanding it.
Is there a motion this be taken under consideration?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I didn't hear that.
Second.
All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'll get to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. If you scroll down to Exhibit A to the ordinance, see the two changes in the ordinance. Article 3, General Provisions, and Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, these are the maps that have to be incorporated, new maps. And Article 5, Provisions for Flood Hazard Reduction, Adam noticed that the specific standards, we actually have adopted a standard in the subdivision regs that really ought to be reflected in the flood zone regulations as well. So that's nothing new, it's just being consistent with what's already in the subdivision regs.
That's correct, yes.
Are there questions or comments?
My comment,
Mr. Hubbard?
being part of the plan, we really tore it apart, and so we really concurred with the final analysis of it.
Other questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Snyder. Gregg. Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 2.4, thank you, Adam, is a resolution. I think you're going to stay with us through this one,
Yeah,
too.
for this one.
Excuse me. This is Resolution 14-33. This resolution, if adopted, would accept a letter of credit bond from the Cumberland Bank and Trust in the amount of $95,760 in order to guarantee the completion of street drainage and electrical improvements in the Robmont subdivision. William White, President. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion here?
We decide to extend it. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically what this is, we have a current bond in the replacement of the letter of credit format through a local bank, Cumberland Bank and Trust out of Clarksville. What this is for is, like you said, there's some final asphalt, sidewalks, drainage, and street lighting remaining. This bond is to cover the completion of that. What the planning commission talked about, typically you want to do a 2-year bond period. This one started in 11, but no one was ever really formally notified the owners of the expiration. So what we talked about would be to extend another year, give us time, 6 months out to notify the owner. I did talk to the owner and told him that we expect this improvement to be done over the next year because it will be exceeding our regulation of 2 years.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
We just felt that was sort of necessary, maybe we can encourage him.
All right. Anything further before we vote?
Yes, sir.
Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg. Trotter.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, under administrative, item, next page, 3.1, discuss and possibly take action on the appointment of a vice mayor. Floor is now open.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would recommend that Ms. Snyder be considered as a vice mayor.
Ann Snyder,
Yes, sir.
who is our current vice
Current
mayor,
vice
has been
mayor.
nominated. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Clay Sneed. This board has a tradition of vice mayor passing that around, and Mr. Sneed is the longest-serving alderman that hasn't been vice mayor. I think it'd be appropriate if we elect him this time.
All right, so you're nominated. Let me double check on, we don't need seconds, though, on nominations, I don't believe, do we?
No
Believe
discussion.
it's right.
You just vote on the names.
All right.
I move that the nomination be closed on those two names there.
Is there a second to Mr. Hubbard's nomination? Did I hear one?
I don't think you can close nominations like that.
Close on those two names.
Oh, but, okay. Close for
That's
discussion.
what I said.
Yeah, I think you can. Is there
I thought
a
you
second
said
to that?
If I get a second, that's official.
Second. Then we'll vote.
Yes, sir.
All right. All who are favoring ending the nomination, stopping that process and moving forward with these two candidates, please signify with an aye vote when we call your name.
Snyder. Aye. Carnell.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
No.
Head. Trotter.
All right.
Gregg. Pass 6-1.
All right, the first one, how do we want to do this? I guess we just take it in the order the first one presented and ask for those who are for this person to say aye or no. City Attorney, you got any problem with that? All right. Anybody else have any problem with that? All right. Connie, I guess if you will call the roll and we'll proceed with that. Anybody got a better idea on this?
So we're voting on
Explain the rules again.
I'm saying we're first, Ann was the first nominated, so we go with that one first.
Okay.
And so this first will be those who favor Ann Snyder.
Show of hands.
Yes, I guess we can do it that way.
Show of hands.
Those in favor of Ms. Snyder. All right, Mr. Sneed.
No point in that now.
All right.
Moot point.
Ms. Snyder continues in office.
Congratulations.
All right, now we have to item 3.2, discuss and possibly take action on the execution of a letter of agreement engaging Ms. Christina Barty of Batson Nolan PLC and Batson Nolan PLC to serve as our legal counsel. Paul, do you want to present that or?
Well, it's a very brief agreement, and as you can see, the payment of the fees, it'll be $135 an hour for attorneys, and legal assistants are $45 an hour, and will be the billable hours at 2/10 of an hour, which is pretty good, and so I recommend approval of the agreement.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I feel she'll be a wonderful attorney.
All right, anything further? All right, we have a motion and a second. If you would favor this agreement, Vote aye when your names are called. If you're opposed, vote no.
Gregg. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 7-0.
Okay. And now, item 3.3, Mr. Sneed had presented this. Mr. Sneed, you want to comment whatever you have to say on that, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, regarding the October meeting, some actions of the administration, Mr. Paul Nutting's administration, did some things that I think this board needs to address. It's been publicized in the media, but this board's taken no action or had no discussion on it. I think that needs to be addressed to prevent the public from having a feeling that something may have been swept under the table that should be. Some things need to be aired. With the rules of order that we go by, most inquiries would probably be performed from the chair. Since I was requesting this, it did not come from the chair. It's going to be a little awkward to do a question and answer and follow-up questions unless we get permission to speak freely. So I'm going to ask the chair for that permission to speak freely so we can conduct an inquiry, get to some facts, get some questions answered.
Well, first you've got to get a motion to approve this inquiry and the second and get it passed.
That is correct. Mr. Chairman, I propose that this board conducts an inquiry into the actions of the city manager and Mr. Brewer on right after the October meeting.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Head. All right. If you would favor, is there any other discussion? All right. If you would favor this motion, vote aye when your name is called. If you oppose, vote no.
Carneal.
No.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Yes?
Trotter.
No.
Snyder. No. Gregg.
Yes.
Hubbard.
No.
Failed.
Failed
3 to 4.
3-4.
All right, we move to 3.4, which is the monthly adjustment of retail electric rates by Springfield Electric. Is there anybody here to present that, or are they all still out?
Well, Mayor, let me say that
Okay.
Robert had a medical emergency in his family, and
we're
someone
sorry
was
to hear
supposed
that.
to be here. I suspect maybe they may have some calls they're on.
All right. So we don't know what the rate?
It's in here.
What is it?
It's on the chest. Here's the thing.
Okay.
With increase.
All right, I'll just read this for Mr. Gardner. I'm presenting for the board's information only a 2.071 cents per kilowatt hour wholesale fuel cost adjustment, or FCA, by TVA for the month of January 2015. This will be 1.2% higher than last month's FCA, and the net increase is a result of a range of 50 cents to $1.10 on the average residential bills, depending upon usage. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Now, similar for the gas department, Greg?
Down 4.40%.
Now, that's what we like. Anybody want to claim credit for that and make the motion?
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Watching the world gas situation about 5 o'clock, and it's really going down. We got to
All right.
rush her to his knees.
Call the roll, please.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Snyder. Passed 7-0.
All right, now we come to several appointments that are done typically at the end of the calendar year. First is appointments or reappointments to the Planning Commission. And what do we have here? Okay, from the Planning Commission, for the Planning Commission,
My persons will be, will accept her for
all right. Ward 1, Virginia Boyd. Ward 2, Tony Townsend.
I spoke with him, he accepted.
Beg pardon?
I spoke with him, he accepted.
Accept, okay, we're good, thank you. Ward 3, Buzzy Pooh.
Will continue.
Good. The planning district is vacant, and James Hubbard has agreed to serve again as our rep. Is that right?
Adam, I'll let you make a decision. You want to put up? You want to put up with me?
Say no.
Tell me. Okay. Adam said yes. I'll go ahead.
All right, that leaves us with one vacancy, and that vacancy has occurred because Mr. Robert Farmer has resigned from the Planning Commission. He was our representative from the planning district, that is the buffer zone around, surrounding the city. This person must be filled by a person residing within the planning district, but outside the city limits of Springfield. And all of these persons appointed to represent the planning district and the board mayor, alderman in this respect, serve 2-year terms. Is there a motion that these nominations be approved?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
so you will give us a nominee in January?
I will work on, finding
Yes,
one
sir.
for the planning district. That is correct. All right, call the roll, please.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, we now have item 3.7, the appointments, similar appointments or reappointments to the Construction Board of Adjustments and Appeals. And they are as follows. Ward 1, Blake Batson.
He will continue.
Okay. Ward 3, Alfred Boarder.
He will continue.
Thank you, sir. Ward 5, Jason Reynolds.
I don't know. Have y'all spoken to him? No. I don't know at this point.
Well, you do want to go forward with that on the assumption that he will?
I'm
or-
good with that.
Okay. Well, let's go on. If for some reason he declines it, then we'll have to fill it. And then Keith Woodall at large and David Burkeen at large. These are 2-year appointments. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder. Aye. Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. Now, 3.8 is the appointments or reappointments to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And the nominations that I have are Billy Swan for Wards 1 and 2, and Carolyn
sir.
Woodard at large.
Mr. Swan has resigned, but Mr. Bucky Sweat will be his replacement.
Okay.
I couldn't have anyone, no one in my ward, couldn't find anyone in my ward. Mr. Swan resigned, so.
Okay,
Mr.
Sweat will be
yeah.
the nomination there, and Carolyn Woodard at large.
They both serve 2 wards.
Okay. They serve 2?
One appointment serves 2 wards.
Okay, Wards 1 and 2. Okay. And did someone talk to Ms. Woodard about her continuation on it? Carolyn Woodard?
Yeah, Ms. Swan, Ms. Wood is still.
Ms. Woodard stays.
Still in.
Okay. You would favor the appointment of Mr. Sweat and Ms. Woodard for this 2-year term.
You do a motion.
We need a motion. And then a second, and then we'll,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All right. Those in favor, if you're in favor, vote aye when your name's called. If you oppose, vote no.
Gregg.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
3.9, likewise for the
Pass
Springfield.
7-0.
Excuse me for interrupting. I was trying to get one head of you, Tom. My apologies. 3.9, the appointment and reappointment to Springfield Housing Authority.
You want your turn?
Jim Wilhite at large. This is a 5-year term. That was the nomination.
I
I've
move
got.
to keep him there if you want to keep the.
All right, is there a second to Mr. Jim Wilhite continuing
Second.
on the Housing Board? Duly seconded by Alderman Sneed. All right, if you favor this appointment, vote aye when your name is called. If you oppose, vote no.
Carnell.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Snyder. Gregg.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 310 is similar appointments, and this one for the Adult Entertainment Board. I bet they were standing in line for that one, don't you imagine?
Mr. Woodard say he'll stay at Ward 1.
Which Woodard is that?
That's Raymond.
Raymond, yeah, okay. From Ward 1, and
Ms. Jenny Counts.
Ms. Counts from Ward 2, and Richard Trauber Jr., Ward 3. These are again now for 4-year terms. Is there a motion that these three be accepted?
So moved.
Is there a second? Got it? If you favor these appointments, vote aye when your name is called. Excuse me.
I think Mr. Robert can. He's not conservative.
You said Mr. Strawberry Jr., I believe.
That's what this said. Richard Trauber
Mine
Jr.
says senior, but Mr. Strawberry Senior's health will not
Is
let
at
him.
Morningside, yeah.
Now, when I talked to Mr. Strawberry Jr. to find this out, I never asked her, so I don't know anything.
Well, we'll leave that one off then for tonight, then, I believe, then, under the circumstances, unless Trauber Jr. doesn't live in that.
I don't think he
I don't
does.
believe. Okay, let's mark off Mr. Trauber, and we'll have to, if you'll work on that one, Jeff, and we'll get your appointment next time. So this vote will be for Raymond Woodard Jr., Ward 1, and Ms. Janie Counts for Ward 2. Got a motion and a second?
Yes, sir.
If you favor this, vote aye. When your name's called, opposed, vote no.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay, Airport Board now, and that appointment for a 5-year term is a renewal, and that's Mr. Marvin Smith Sr., who served in that capacity for some time, done a good job. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carnell.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Snyder. Pass 7-0.
Okay, and now we go to the Beer Board.
My appointee will continue to serve Beer Board, Ward 1.
Okay. Alderman Trotter is resigning from the Beer Board due to his new role, and he's appointed Mr. Leroy Willis.
Leroy Ellis.
Ellis,
Ellis?
okay.
Oh, you probably got it. I think you got it too. Right.
I'll make that correction. Mr. Leroy Ellis will be the nominee there for Ward 2 to fill the unexpired part of Mr. Trotter's board. And what did you have, James? Did you have, I didn't have anybody on here but
No,
this
the
one.
only one that's up is because Mr. Trotter
Right.
is in that
The rest of them,
position, and he's
okay.
coming off to be an alderman, so he's appointing someone to take his place.
Mine is still.
Yours is
Okay, so we need a motion and a second on Mr. Ellis.
So moved.
Second.
All right. If you favor Mr. Ellis' appointment, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Okay. 313 is discuss and possibly take action on a taxi franchise application submitted by Henry Clay Sneed for Springfield Taxi. Is there a
So
motion?
moved. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Sneed, you got some nice cars, good service. I have to
All
compliment
right.
you. You're doing a good job.
Call the roll, please.
Head.
Yes.
Carnell.
Aye.
Snyder. Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Abstain.
Pass 6-0 and 1 abstain.
Number 314, discuss and possibly take action on the bid award for the reconstruction of the south sludge basin at our water treatment plant. Do you have any comment on that, either Mr. Lemasters or Mr. Brewer?
The bids are a little bit higher than we had originally expected. One of the reasons, I guess, is because there's a big unknown. We had the company called TTL do some seismic and underground surveys trying to determine the extent or the depth of the throat of the sinkhole. And it's an inexact science. You just can't say it's exactly 32.87 feet down. They think it's about 45 feet down. And to get down that deep, the idea is to get down to the throat, plug it, and then backfill and bring it on up. Well, to get 45 feet down, you have to dig a cone, and the deeper you get, the bigger your cone is. It may be only 35 feet, it may be 25 feet. We really don't know until we get there, but the plans and specifications were built around a 45-foot depth. If the throat is deeper than that, they're going to stop at 45 feet. So it could be lesser amount than this. Now, the real good thing about this is we've already gotten paid $267,000. $267,000. That was an estimate on the construction cost by Tennessee Municipal League. We made it very clear when Gresham Smith and partners were developing these plans and specs. We made it clear during the pre-bid conference that we want the contractor to be very careful and delineate the costs associated only with repair of the sinkhole. Now, to repair the sinkhole, you got to destroy basically the entire bottom of the sludge basin, as well as some of the sidewalls where you can get down to the dirt. Now, there's also some additional work we want to do is to basically take all the basement out, the basin floor, and 3 of the 4 sides and do some more work because there's some crumbling concrete. So there will be some costs that are not associated directly with repair of the sinkhole, and the contractors are going to be keeping some very close differential between the two. If the cost to repair the sink is more than what TML had estimated, then we will submit a claim to the TML for the additional cost. Now, their coverage is everything minus $1,000. So that's what we got. We got checked for $260,000 because they estimated it cost $268,000. So if the cost to fix the sink is more, then we're going to submit a claim to TML to get some more money.
Those bids are pretty wide. That's a pretty wide range of bids, from 1.3 million roughly to 1.9 million.
Yes, sir.
Was that a surprise to you as well?
I don't think it's that much of a surprise because there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, you just really don't know what you're going to get when you get there.
Paul?
Let me clear some financial light on this. Roger, about $200,000 of this contract is contingency.
Correct.
So if you take out the contingency, and this was going to be funded by 2 means. First, we've talked about the TML insurance payment, which could be more, $267,000. And then we had allocated in the 2014 bonds that we just sold $750,000. So the $750 and the $267 is $1,017,000. So we may have to take a couple of $100,000 out of another allocated project, probably out of the sewer system rehab, because that's just a very large project. We've got plenty of money right now to do that. Fact is, this needs to be repaired. It can't go any longer. So we really have to fund this with the funds that we have, and I recommend that we award it to the low bidder.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion now? Questions of Mr. Lemasters? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Gregg.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 7-0.
All right, we'll take about a 5-minute break at this point. We've been here an hour. We'll come back in at, let's say, at 8:40.